Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 7, and today we're taking a look at the 2004 Audi S4. Now this is part of the third generation that was produced between March 2003 and December 2004, with the Cabriolet version lasting until December 2005. And you can think of this as a smaller, less powerful version of the RS6 from the year prior. That is also on this game, and that we've already reviewed a while back. And yeah, it is overall a really rather solid sports saloon. And the reason why I say it's vaguely like the RS6 is because they're both saloon cars, both have all-wheel drive, and both share the same engine. But yeah, this is in no doubt one of its own kind of car, because yeah, even though it is smaller than the RS6, it's still got plenty of room in the front and the rear. It's still as luxurious as you'd expect an Audi to be, and yeah, nowhere near as badly built as some other cars companies that do sports saloons. And yeah, got a most spacious boot, twin exhausts, and yeah, really rather handsome styling. The only thing I don't like about the styling is the black bottom on the doors, which stick out a little bit too much as far as I'm concerned. It looks a little bit, yeah, unnecessary. But yeah, like I said, this shares the same engine as the RS6. So, as you can see, it's a 4.2 litre V8 engine with 340 horsepower and 302 pounds-feet of torque. So yeah, even though it is the same engine as the RS6, that's a lot less power and torque because it doesn't have two turbochargers on it, which is the big difference outside of the fact that this is a smaller vehicle than the RS6, which means that this has 110 horsepower less and 113 pounds-feet of torque less as well. But it's still it's a sizable vehicle in its own right, so you're not losing too much in terms of interior space. It's mostly just a little bit of extra luxury and a little bit of, well, I say a little bit, but quite a lot of power. But this does weigh less at 3,825 pounds, with the RS6 weighing in at 199 pounds more. So yeah, it does weigh a fair bit less, which means that this is a little bit better in terms of handling and braking. But to see how good, we're going to have to go out onto the track and see what this car can do. So we're at the Hockenheimring full circuit for one lap, so let's see what this sports saloon can do. Now granted, in comparison to say a BMW, this is nowhere near as lightweight or as powerful or as good in terms of handling, but you could see that Audi were onto something, especially with the engine in this car, because yeah, even though it does lack the turbochargers of the RS6, it's still a glorious engine, revving up to 7,000 RPM, and being a V8, it's got a decent amount of torque. It's actually got more torque than a M3 from around the same period, and yeah, it just sounds really rather nice. So yeah, you can definitely tell that Audi were onto something, and they perfect this, the combination of the all-wheel drive system and this V8 over time. Though I think it's been dropped now from certain cars that had it, which is a shame because it is a glorious engine, but got to move with the times. But yeah, it's still a really solid engine, and yeah, it doesn't produce the most amount of horsepower, especially in a car that weighs nearly 4,000 pounds, but it's still more than enough horsepower, especially when you consider the acceleration time. So yeah, 0 to 60, oh dear, yeah, the brakes, that's something I'm going to have to get onto in a minute. Yeah, 0 to 60 in 5.120 seconds, 0 to 113.2 seconds, and it goes to top speed of 180 miles an hour if it's got the limiter off. So yeah, like I was saying just then when we failed at the corner, the braking is not all that great. Even though it is better than the RS6, it's still nowhere near as good as, say, as an M3 or the same year M5. So yeah, bit of a shame in that regard, but as long as you're sensible with it, you will get a fair decent amount out of this. But the big thing that this has over, say, a BMW or a Mercedes from the time is the fact it does have an all-wheel drive system, which is useful at the end of the day on a day-to-day basis, because, you know, come rain or shine, this will be able to put the power down, will be able to give you all the grip that you need. Sure, it doesn't work quite as well on the track, and yeah, it sure does restrict the amount of fun you can have with it. But in terms of being a sports saloon that you can use on the public roads, yeah, it's highly usable and highly user friendly as well. So yeah, I really rather do like it. Not quite as much as later Audi sports saloons, and to be honest, I do prefer the RS6, even though it is worse in terms of handling and braking, purely because it has an insane amount of horsepower and torque for a early 2000s Sport Saloon. So yeah, I do prefer that car over this one, but Audi would eventually get their game in order in terms of nailing it in every aspect, and not just in terms of the engine and the all-wheel drive system being a useful thing on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, really rather solid start from Audi in terms of a mid-sized sports saloon. And yeah, highly recommend trying it out if you haven't already. I think it gets a bit overlooked in comparison to the more modern Audis. Yeah, and it does at the end of the day make me wish we had more Audis on Forza games, because after before the 90s in terms of cars, we've only ever had the Sport Quattro, so it would be nice if we got some more in the next Forza game. But either way, a solid car, and yeah, well worth checking out. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.